And welcome back. The Surgeon General has recommended that more people get trained on how to respond to overdoses. The Alliance for the Positive Change created a program training people on how to react in a situation like this. Telling us more about this now is Velia Hernandez, Associate Director of Outreach, and Evelyn Lopez, Chief Program Officer for the Alliance for Positive Change. And we welcome them to the show, and good to have you.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
We know, and we continue to hear from the national all the way down to the local about the opioid drug crisis and the fact that so many people are just being affected, families and communities, by fatal overdoses. And you guys are really doing this, grabbing the bull by the horns, and have been doing this, grabbing the bull by the horns, but really now aggressively with the Save a Life campaign. So tell us a little bit about this.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have learned that it takes a community to address an issue, and it takes a community to be educated about the issues. So what we are doing is what we have this campaign to educate all New Yorkers about how to the signs of an overdose, but also how to prevent the overdose. And opioid overdose is one of the highest risk that exists in New York City, higher than car accidents and higher than, believe it or not, gunshots. And so we know that every 7 hours, there's one person dying in New York City of opioid overdose.
Wow.
So we are really dealing with a serious crisis.
And so as you talk about this crisis, educating the public, making people aware, how do people notice if somebody is on an overdose?
The signs of overdose, it's you will see the person start sweating, they start rocking, sometimes they're kind of unconscious, and you will see that they are not in a good space.
Right.
Most of them are kind of sleeping. So you check for pulse, and then you administer the Narcan.
And here you have in front of
Yes.
us, you have a demonstration kit in front of us.
Yes.
So explain this to me.
Okay, so after you identify the signs and you see the person that is going through an overdose, you open your kit and you put your gloves, because you want to make sure to protect yourself and protect the person of not putting any dirt on their mouth, I will say. And so you do that. We have alcohol in the pack. We have this card that identifies you that you have been trained and you know how to administer the Narcan. And this is the Narcan kit. And this kit, the good thing about it is that in the past it was an injection, so it took more time for you to prepare it. Currently, all we have to do is nasal, and you just spray it through the nose. And in the event that the person's still not responding, then you use this little protector for your mouth, and you give mouth to mouth. And then it's always recommended that you mark it, so that way you use the same side when you have to administer mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. We recommend that we always, even though we will administer the Narcan kit to reverse the overdose, that 911 is called. It is imperative for the emergency department comes and the person is taken to the emergency room to further assess what type of drug the person used. Currently, it's not only heroin and crack that people are using. They are using also, some of the drugs is cut with what is called fentanyl.
Right.
And the fentanyl, it's very, very dangerous. And depending on the level, the overdose will be quicker. My experience has been is that when you try to overdose certain individuals, they get very upset because you take the high away from them.
Right.
However, you are saving their lives. And you have to explain that to them. And they don't get it until after the effect. And they says, oh my God, I'm back here.
Right. Now, let me ask you about training people, because you do a great job of training people, helping people become equipped with this. So where can people go to receive training, and how long does this training take?
The training actually take, with questions and answer, about an hour. In some groups, depending on the size of the groups, we can train individually, one-on-one, or groups up to 50, 100 easily. What we do usually is we walk them through the steps, like if they were actually saving a life. Then we talked about the various different, signs of the person coming back, of course, and the importance of following the protocol. The other piece that we educate him is about the use of the synthetic opioid that has been now tampered with many prescription medications. So there's the opioid overdose that we think only happens for people that are actively injecting substances. It's also happening on pills like sedative, like Xanax, that's being contaminated with fentanyl, which means that that increases the height of an overdose for that person that's taking it. The other scenario we train people on is to really know that sometimes overprescription of painkillers could also create an overdose. So we call it the grandma example, where a grandma have an injury, had other prescriptions at hand, and have an overdose because got confused and took more frequently the opioid that was prescribed by the doctor.
So for people who want more information about this, how can they tap into you and the services that you're providing?
So they could go to www.alliance.nyc. They could walk into our Alliance Lower East Side Harm Production satellite located at 125 Allen Street. 125 Allen Street, or they could go to any of the Alliance satellites. And all the information is in our website.
And it's important to note that you guys have trained thousands of people.
Oh, yes.
We have.
And we're ready for more. The campaign actually is to help us, train groups that usually will not come to us or will feel more, reserved about the issues. And we're trying to do this campaign. So the same website, www.alliance/Save a Life. And we want to purchase, there's one way of saving additional lives. When people are using drugs in the street or even at home, they can test with if their drugs have been contaminated with fentanyl. So there's a strip that can tell you not how much there is, but there's traces of it. So therefore, as another piece of education, reduce your dose of injection, avoid the overdose that way by testing the drugs and reduce the injection amount. That had saved hundreds of lives in itself. The campaign requires that we purchase those strips and donate them as we do our outreach events freely with a package of education. So we're really excited about this campaign. And for people that really want to do it, please go to our website. And also, we have a match for one of our board members for the first $2,000, so we can purchase even more supplies.
Wow, that's great. Well, Velia and Evelyn, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Hopefully our public will take advantage of this. It is a crisis, and
It
a
is.
lot of people are being affected. And if we can get some people out there who are actually trained, possibly more lives can actually be saved. It's a terrible, terrible thing, but certainly thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All righty, listen, need you to stay with us. We got more show coming right back after this.